America, I have a message for you. If we allow Border Czar Harris to win this election, every city, every community in this great country is going to go to hell. The untold millions of people, unvetted, who she has allowed into this country that are committing murders, rapes, robberies, burglaries, and every other crime will continue to put our country in peril. Only one man can fix that. That is Donald J. Trump. He has always stood with the men and women who protect this border, who put their lives on the line for the country. A man who knows about putting his life on the line for what is right. This November, we have a choice to make. Continue the chaos. Allow the criminal cartels to control the border, to allow drugs and fentanyl across our country, or put an end to it once and for all. On behalf of the 16,000 men and women represented by the National Border Patrol Council, we strongly support and endorse Donald J. Trump for President of the United States.
Wow, 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 folks. Talk about an endorsement from the Border Patrol. These are the same folks that gave Donald Trump their endorsement full-heartedly in 2016. These are the people that are putting their lives on the front lines, on the southern border, folks, protecting us every single day. But they are just being absolutely overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of crossings that are occurring. I mean, how many crossings can they stop? Especially when their hands are tied and handcuffed. They can't speak out for fear of retaliation, being an employee of the government, the Border Patrol. But they can voice their opinions now. I mean, this is a slap in the face, and a nice slap in the face to the Harris-Biden administration. And this is huge, folks. Huge. Absolutely. I mean, in terms of this immigration situation, the immigration question, who's going to be better on the border, on immigration, on the wall, protecting us from the cartels, protecting from drugs moving across our southern border into the interior of America, killing our citizens. They have absolutely voiced their opinion and have stated with one voice, the only person who can do it is Donald Trump. So here they say here, Border Union President Paul Perez knocked Vice President Kamala Harris for her work as a border czar, praising, obviously, former president for always, listen to this, folks, for always standing with the men and women who protect this border. In other words, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden never stood with the men and women who protect the border. He goes on to say, if we allow border czar Harris to win this election, every city, every community in this great country is going to hell. The untold millions of people, unvetted, who Kamala Harris has allowed in this country, they are the ones who are committing murders, rapes, robberies, burglaries, and every other crime. And that's just continued to put the United States in peril. He goes on to say, only one man can fix this, Donald J. Trump. He's always stood with the men and women who protect this border, who put their lives on the line for this country. He's a man who knows about putting his own life on the line for what is right. He goes on to say, this November, we have a choice to make. Continue the chaos, allow the criminal cartels to control the border to allow drugs and fentanyl across the country, or put an end to it. On behalf of the 16,000 men and women represented by the National Border Patrol Council, we strongly support and endorse Donald J. Trump for President of the United States. As I said before, they had previously endorsed Trump for President in 2016 after a long-standing practice of staying out of presidential elections. They never did anything until 2016 when Trump called it out, folks, the immigration crisis. As he goes on to say, they don't endorse presidential candidates in primaries. We will not, however, shy away from voicing our opinions as it pertains to border security and the men and women of the United States Border Patrol. As such, we are breaking with our past practice and giving our first ever endorsement in a presidential primary. We think it's important if we don't secure the border. So not only did they give their support in the presidential primary, they're also giving it support in the presidential elections. He goes on to say, if we don't do this, American communities will continue to suffer at the hands of gangs, cartels, and violent criminals preying on the innocent. The lives and the security of the American people are at stake, and we, the National Border Patrol Council, will not sit on the sidelines. Now, that is a huge, huge statement, huge endorsement for President Trump. But I want you to hear how the mainstream media talks about this, how the narrative for them. Just listen to this so-called journalist hack woman from the Alternative Broadcasting Corporation, or the Anything But Conservative Broadcasting Corporation, ABC, Martha, the retarded Radis. The reason that I use that term very strongly, folks, and I don't use it lightly, but Martha Radis is one of the most disgusting, one of the most vile, racist, bigoted, disingenuous, lying journalist who coats herself in this cloak of journalism and tries to portend to us that she is playing it straight down the line when we know she is so far left, when she actually questions that American citizens are questions of fact that is it true or not, or that it's just happening to a few people. It's just a small story that some citizens are being overridden by gangs. Listen to how J.D. Vance literally destroys, decimates Martha, the retarded Radis, and turns it around on her and makes her look like a total abject fool, an idiot, a moron. She's female, but boy, is she a freaking idiot. Is she a retard? Watch how J.D. Vance handles this just absolutely hack of a journalist, Martha Radis, folks. This is a lesson in how to handle these journalists and knock them down a bunch of pegs to the very bottom of the rung of their destructive I don't even want to call them journalists, but how to basically reshape the narrative into a positive and just show these people how not in step they are with American values or the safety of the American people. Folks, watch this. It's a master class by J.D. Vance.
Exaggerated and have hurt the city's identity and sense of safety. I understand what you're saying, that some people left behind, but he's making these statements that the mayor is flat out disputing.
Well, Martha, you just said the mayor said they were exaggerated.
Grossly exaggerated.
That means there's got to be some element of truth here. And of course, President Trump was actually in Aurora, Colorado, talking to people on the ground. And what we're hearing, of course, Martha, is that people are terrified by what has happened with some of these Venezuelan gangs.
Senator Vance, I'm going to stop you because I know exactly what happened.
Martha.
I'm going to stop you. The incidents were limited to a...
You don't know shit, Martha. You don't know shit. She's going to continue here and say, they were just limited to just a few things, just a few gang members running around terrorizing American citizens. What are we bloviating about that for? I mean, come on now. There's other problems going on here. There's some cities in America that have a couple of gangs taking over just a few apartment complexes. Why are you bringing that up? That shouldn't be the narrative. The narrative should be that you are bringing that thing up because it's just a small problem. This idiot, this retard, this so-called journalistic hack. Listen to the narrative that she tries to spin and how J.D. Vance literally smacks her around.
Handful of apartment complexes, and the mayor said our dedicated police officers have acted on those concerns. A handful of problems.
A handful.
Only, Martha, do you hear yourself?
Yes.
Only a handful of apartment complexes in America were taken over by Venezuelan
Only a handful?
gangs, and Donald Trump is the problem and not Kamala Harris's open border. Americans are so fed up with what's going on.
Absolutely, we're fed up. We are fucking fed up. We are effing fed up there, Martha the retard Radis. Only a freaking handful? That's the word you use as a journalist? You should be fucking ashamed of yourself, retarded Radis.
On, and they have every right to be. And I really find this exchange, Martha, sort of interesting because
Yes.
you seem to be more focused with nitpicking everything that
Yes.
Donald Trump has said rather than acknowledging that apartment complexes in the United States of America are being taken over by violent gangs. I worry so much more about that problem than anything else here.
Absolutely. She's focusing on the fact that Donald Trump may have exaggerated. I don't give a damn if he's exaggerating. If there's one apartment complex that's being taken over and he says there's two of them, nobody gives a shit. The fact of the matter is that Americans are being terrorized. Why are those goddamn gangs in the first place terrorizing American citizens, Martha the retard Radis? Answer me that question.
We've got to get American communities in a safe space again. And unfortunately, when you let people in by the millions, most of whom are unvetted, most of whom you don't know who they really are, you're going to have problems like this. Kamala Harris, 94 executive orders that undid Donald Trump's successful border policies. We knew this stuff would happen. They bragged about opening the border, and now we have the
She doesn't give a
consequences,
shit,
and we're
folks.
living with it. We can do so much better, but frankly, we're not going to do better, Martha, unless Donald Trump calls this stuff out. I'm glad that he did.
Okay, let's just end that with they did not invade or take over the city, as Donald Trump said. I want to move on to
Just a few apartment complexes, no big deal.
A few apartment complexes that the mayor did not seem was invading the entire city.
God, she's pathetic. Yeah, she is so pathetic, folks. She is absolutely pathetic. The way that her snarky attitude. Again, she doesn't give a rat's ass. She doesn't give a shit about those people. Even after J.D. Vance rhetorically in a discussion velvet glove. She still doesn't care. She still pushes her false narrative that it's only a handful. That just because the mayor says, hey, in Denver, Colorado, what do you think the mayor's going to say? That, yeah, we have a problem and we're being overrun? Of course he's not going to say that, Martha the retard Radis. But you will believe them over the concerns. It's all over Twitter. It's all over the place. You see it yourself. Video cam footage in these apartment complexes. Even if one is taken over, for God's sakes, you should be saying to yourself, hey, is there anything that we can do? Do you need some extra? Do you think that you can muster up some extra police force? Or perhaps we can send in, what can we do to help these residents? How can we get rid of this criminal element that is terrorizing American citizens every day, every night? Even if it's only a handful. But no, that's not the problem, according to Martha the retard Radis. Retard Radis feels that the problem is, instead of saying that it's maybe just a handful, Donald Trump says it's a huge problem. That's the problem that retard Radis has, not the fact that American citizens are being terrorized. And that's the narrative you hear all the time from not only retarded journalists like Radis, but her acolytes and other ilk in the so-called lamestream, in the actual called lamestream media, folks. She is one of the, as I said before, that report that she did, vile, disgusting, deceitful, despicable. Yet, she's always a part of ABC. This is the face of the fake news journalism, folks, that Donald Trump always talks about. She is the poster child, the retarded poster child of journalistic fraud and fake narratives. Martha the retard Radis. Well, folks, we hope you enjoyed our video. Appreciate the time you take to watch, comment, and share, like. You all know what to do. Take a look at our other video links here and here. My final thought is always, when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. Until next time, folks, take care and stay safe.